you want to have a chat beforehand, what we want to talk about, or do you want to just jump into it?
Oh, let's just have a little chat. It doesn't have to be what we're going to talk about, but just chat and relax here a little bit. And
yeah, that sounds good, man. So you said you were doing a ceremony last night. What does that involve?
Sweat lodge.
All right, okay, that's interesting. There's a famous comedian, a Scottish comedian called Billy Connolly. Have you heard of him?
I don't think so.
He's quite popular all around the world, and he does this tour, and he's on a tour of like North America and Canada and stuff. And he went to a sweat lodge, and when I seen that, I was like, that looks up my street, you know. He was quite profoundly taken aback by how powerful it was, actually.
Oh, okay, yes. I got a picture of him here. I know who he is. Yes.
So there's a documentary with him going on a sweat lodge, and he says it actually it made him mature a bit. He says normally he's got the mental age of 4, but after the sweat lodge he went up to 4.5. So it worked for him. But that's quite an intense thing, though, really, a sweat lodge, yeah?
What do you mean by intense?
Well, first of all, it's an endurance thing, and but it's also a sharing thing, isn't it? People kind of get in contact with themselves and kind of in that environment and unload their problems and stuff. It's like a healing thing as well, yeah?
It's a healing. It shouldn't be an endurance aspect. And I also support a lot of sun dances here in southern Alberta. Last year I supported 6 of them, and there's one that I've been to for 7 years now supporting. And talking to the leader that's in charge in the sacred circle of the sun dance. And we were talking about sweats, and I've been doing sweats now since middle of June this year.
So you've been participating in them, or actually, helping to?
I'm actually the fire keeper and pour the water on the rocks in the sweat lodge. And so we were talking about that, and I do a gentle sweat because it's not about endurance.
Right. Okay.
It's not about having it so hot that you're
just
the only thought on your mind is, will I survive long enough to get out of this outside to live?
Yeah.
It's not what a sweat is about. A sweat is about sweating is one aspect of it. It's a cleanse. Now you take the women in their moon time, they cleanse once a month.
Okay.
The men don't have that ability to do that. And so to properly cleanse yourself, you should have a sweat at least once a week.
All right. And it's like a sauna, the same kind of thing, or is it different? The heat different,
Well, I put in 22 rocks because if you go into our manuscript, that's what Divine Mother first instructed Isis to do.
Okay.
Was 22 rocks. And so I've been doing that, and when the weather gets a little colder here, it's just a little tougher to get the nice heat, but we get a good sweat, and it's sometimes we just go into we just sit there and we don't say anything. We go into our own meditation, and the quiet is so nice. Other times we talk and chatter. Our sweat is different than other sweats that I've been to.
So would you like to give a little bit of background about the custom of the sweat, and how these ones differ then? Where does it come from, and did it develop for men to kind of cleanse? Is that the purpose? Is it men only? What's the story?
No, women only. And our sweat, to give you a bit of background, I had somebody do a animal totem for me. This has got to be 10 years ago now, possibly.
What's that, an animal totem? You mean one of those wooden things?
She took my birth date and went into a book. I think it's Animal Speaks book, and so my birth totem is the beaver.
Okay.
And the alternate to that is the snake, and I have this huge fear of snakes, and I was really ticked to find that it was a snake. But I've had snakes come to me in the dream time. And speak to me. The first one that came to me in the dream time was speaking to me and saying, because I do body work, intuitive body work on people, and was saying to me, now follow my voice and understand that as you're walking through this tall grass, just because you hear my voice in one place, that doesn't mean that's where I'm at. And the same thing applies when you're working on people. Just because they have a pain somewhere doesn't mean that's where it's actually at.
Yeah.
Where the problem is at. Always look for the problem to be someplace else. And so I've always done that. And it's amazing what happens when I tie into that teaching. Yeah, because I go, oh, let's work down here. And they go, whoa, that hurts down there.
Yeah.
I thought I told you to work up there. I go, but this is where it started at.
Well, I've done something called body electronics, and I worked with a shaman for 2 weeks. Have you heard of that? Where you push kind of points in the body, where if you suppress anger and suppress different emotions, the spleen will hold repressed anger. Then there's a point in the body that relates to that you can push, and it kind of breaks down the DNA of the crystals that were formed with this repressed emotion. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I see it differently, but I do understand what you're talking about.
That was kind of similar because we're pushing different parts of the body to relieve pain and where it was stored and stuff.
Yes, that stored energy. Yes. Yes, it's fascinating, and I look at it this way. I have my own personality. You have your own personality, and everybody has their own personality. And so when I go in and do the work that I do, I'm working with my personality, and the shaman that you worked with is working with his personality.
That's right.
And so we're all probably doing very similar aspects of work, but we only have our personality to work with, so it adds that, for lack of a better term, that interpretation of how we work with it.
Yeah, but a lot of people say you should, get rid of your ego, but when I was with that shaman, did I talk on you shouldn't get rid of it, you should mature your ego and be, and get into your personality, so you should embrace it,
Thank you. Finally, somebody else has got the ego straight. The ego is so important. And yes, it does need to mature.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, it's became the ruler of us. We have to kind of put it in its place a wee bit, and that's maturing ourselves spiritually to then handle the ego and let it serve us rather than be slaves to it.
Exactly. Because it is a part of us, and to deny it, why would we deny a part of ourselves?
Yep, it's like the shadow self as well. That's, I think, what's wrong with the world in general, is people are too afraid to look at themselves, so they're always running from it, and that's always causing problems, instead of turning around and facing their dark side and, dealing with it one way or another, or accepting it, whatever.
Exactly. And it's not always easy to work with those aspects that you just talked about. Yes, I work with people. I help them move through some of those traumas. But I'm always working on me too. I have to work on me on a continual basis. And the more I do, the deeper I have to go, and it all is on for lack of a better term, a time basis. And as one friend taught me, she goes, you can only do a little bit at a time, and in each time you just do a little bit, because if you did it all at once, it would literally kill us.
What do you mean by do what?
To release all of those fears.
Yeah, okay.
all of those fears, those illusions, everything that we may have come across that we have interpreted as harm.
Well, I'll just tell you a wee story. When I was doing that course for 2 weeks, doing different parts of the body, and it started off with the unconscious and then built up to apathy, then anger, and it went up to the skull for the second week. And the last day of this 2 week process, it had this point of triple access in the skull. You put your finger there, And there was this deep emotion, reserves of emotion coming out of me that I couldn't even put a word on. I had tears strolling down my eyes for 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the afternoon. And that was after 2 weeks of already healing, you know. And it was just like, it was amazing to kind of be free of that a little bit. Obviously you still pick up other stuff, but just to realise that we carry around that stuff and how deep it is in us is incredible.
Yes. And we're all onions. You know that we're all onions? Because it only can come off a layer at a time. Yep.
So we're always basically getting closer to our truth, hopefully. Or, I mean, sometimes we'll go in another direction, or we not.
Exactly. Exactly. And, you know, and I've, if you go to hannelora.ca, she's a teacher of mine, and I've taken her courses on the power of intuition. I've assisted a lot of her courses on the power of intuition, and also done her dolphin retreat over in Hawaii. And I have come such a long ways from when I first met her, and she comments on that also. And it's I'm not one to be jumping around to every cotton picking seminar that happens to be out there. I have focused on 2 classes in the last 10 years. And I'm able to go back to these classes, because they set it up once you've had the class, come back and assist. And it doesn't cost me any money. It just takes my time, and I'm still learning from these courses. And that's the uniqueness of focusing on 2 or 3 courses. It allows me to see my own growth.
Well, it's interesting. Basically, when you pick 2 or 3 like that, then you have the opportunity to go deeper into them. So we have all these religions around the world where people express their connection to God in different ways. But some people these days is window shopping spirituality. They go from one thing to another. But actually to pick one and to go deep into that and to get what you need from that is probably quite wise, you know.
That's how I feel. That's how I feel. And you know, I had a friend that she literally had a wall that was a good 20 feet long, and there was probably the whole 20 feet was filled with certificates.
Oh, right.
and it was probably 4 deep, you know.
Yeah.
Stacked 4 high, and she had the ability to back up every one of those certificates.
All right. That's quite impressive.
So it is very impressive. And you know, and I had some of my certificates up on my wall, and people go, "Wow, you've been busy." And to me, all it is a piece of paper that says I've taken the course. Yeah. The real test is what I do when I have people on the table, or when I have them in front of me and I'm working on them.
Yeah.
And that applies to every individual that has gone to school. I don't care whether they're a doctor, a lawyer, whatever it is they're doing. All that paper tells me is that you took the course.
Yeah. And then tells you what course it was and whether it's probably a load of shit or not.
Yeah. And so you've got the piece of paper. Good.
Yeah.
Now let's see how good you really are.
Well, when it comes to healing, you know what? If you can heal somebody, like this is why you use semantics for, they call it alternative healing, but it's actually traditional healing. You know, it was more in tune with spirit, and you're healing the whole body. It's not like a doctor will try and, you know, suppress the symptom and sell drugs from it. So that piece of paper, if they're just saying I'm a doctor and just to push drugs, it's different to actually healing people, you know, regardless of how you do it.
And you want to know something very unique? Mm-hmm. I have yet to heal anybody.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is because all I do is facilitate that individual. Mm-hmm. It's the individual that does their own healing, and they are the only ones that can heal themselves.
Uh-huh. Well, a lot of people do tests when they believe they can get cured from cancer compared to the ones that don't believe, you know. The actual belief is a vital ingredient. So if you help that person to believe they can get better, even just through your methods, whatever, then that's what helps them heal themselves.
Yes, and again, I am the facilitator. I have that ability to facilitate, and because and I learned this with the chiropractor that I worked with for 13 years. He kept telling me, he says, I don't heal anybody. I manipulate the spinal column so the body can do its own healing.
Yeah.
And he says, get that straight. What you do with your work, you're not the healer. That person with their body, they're the ones that do their own healing.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So again, you're not, if you go talk about the ego, you're not claiming that you are healing. So that's a kind of humble, I think being humble is good as well as having an ego, you know. So it allows you to step outside of it and not claim, even if the person gets ill and you don't, then it's not really your responsibility. You've done your best to help them, you know.
Yeah, well, why should I take on their responsibility?
Yeah.
You have your responsibility for your life, and you and I can get together and we can talk, discuss, and learn from one another. But what I learned from you is my responsibility. How do I take what I learned from you and go out there and expand that wisdom that you shared with me?
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's all a big learning school, this thing of life.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'd like to...
Now, I want to... Go ahead.
Carry on.
Go ahead. I was going to share with you my philosophy that I found in a book somewhere.
Uh-huh.
And when I started out doing massage therapy back in 95, I used this as my philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes like this. Webster's dictionary defines health as a condition of being sound in mind, body, and spirit. Yet the physical and emotional pain many of us are willing to endure conflicts with this dictionary definition. We accept pain, fatigue, headaches, muscle tension, mood swings, and depression as par for the course. We see disease as the inevitable result of aging, or sadly enough, a cruel twist of fate. We have literally conditioned ourselves to believe that living just ain't supposed to be easy. Unfortunately, this mindset is slowly killing us. We want to be healthy, but we have a limited vision of what it takes to achieve and maintain optimum wellness. Human beings are meant to function at peak performance. According to Dr. Lerner, emotions are often stored in the body in certain key places. If these emotions are not acknowledged and expressed, the muscles are locked in a holding pattern that contributes to psychological distress and structural imbalances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what this shaman was saying about the suppressed emotions. You know, a child will feel an emotion, it'll cry, it'll get angry, whatever, and then it's gone, you know. But we're in work and places like that where you want to express yourself, but due to the situation you can't, so you have to bury it. And then that becomes illness when it's not treated after that, you know.
Yeah, that is so true. And then also as a practitioner, I have been taught not to match the energy of what my clients are going through.
Uh-huh.
So if I'm working on somebody and they break out into crying, I have to hold my own energy.
Mm-hmm.
and work them through what it is they're experiencing.
Yep.
And if they're crying, I don't cry. And I had one person go, when I was working with him, they went, "Your eyes are so cold." And I go, "Yeah,
right.
Because I'm not giving emotion to what you are giving emotion to."
Yeah.
There's an area of protecting myself
mm-hmm.
from your experience, standing in my own power to help you work through your experience, and then not taking any of that energy with me when I'm done. Because what's yours is yours, and what's mine is mine. And may all of Creator's blessings be yours, and may all of Creator's blessings be mine. But what's yours is yours, and what's mine is mine.
Yep.
And we keep that separate.
If you did start, putting your emotion, you become drained and you couldn't do it for the next person,
Couldn't live life for myself.
Yeah, that's right. That's a lot of thing about relationships these days. There's a kind of expectation of a way of behaving and stuff like that, you know, and people are not really taking full responsibility for their own happiness. They expect somebody else to give it to them, and then it becomes a battle of energy that's not really healthy.
And that's what we've been programmed with, the television shows, the movies, what we read. It's a programming that we get into, and we as humans enjoy entertainment. We love to be entertained.
Yep, you have to be careful what you choose to be entertained by, I think. Because, you know, the subconscious mind takes everything in that we don't actually realise. I was watching with my son a lot of YouTube videos of motorbike crashes, you know, all that kind of things going wrong, and I think it's quite funny. And then I actually had an accident with my bike. I fell off my bike. And I was like, I'm going to stop watching that stuff, you know, just thinking.
That is so true. That is so true. And watching some stuff this morning, and the only way I could say it is it was just pure stupidity that some of these things that people were doing.
Oh, that's incredible.
I had to exit out because I just couldn't stand the stupidity that was taking place. Yeah, there are funny things that happen, you know, and they just happen because we're having a good time. But man, some of these people had to be getting hurt really.
Oh yeah, definitely,
really bad.
Yeah.
And I just couldn't watch it anymore because it was stupid, and I can't put any other term to it.
Yeah, if I just kind of got to that point where it's not good to watch that kind of stuff, you know. It's just, it's good for a laugh, but it's people are really getting hurt quite blatantly. It's not really that funny.
Yeah. And I don't know if you've noticed or not, but like some of these skateboarders that try some of these stunts and fall on a bar with their legs spread and the pain it has to happen. And I don't know about you, but my root chakra picks up on a lot of pain.
Well, I definitely wince when I see that.
And it doesn't matter where the pain is, my root chakra picks up on that because our root chakra is about our power and our survival.
Okay.
And so if people aren't surviving, my root chakra is going to pick up on that.
Okay. No, it affects you.
And so as you're watching different aspects of life, listen to your chakras and see what the chakras are saying.
I wanted to ask you something about this. This is something, you know, I know about the chakras to a certain extent, you know, where they are and the colours and everything, and the Kundalini energy, and the serpent rising and all that stuff. But there's one guy in particular, I don't know if you've heard of him, he's called George Kavasilis. Have you heard of him?
I don't think I have.
Well, he talks about he's, you know, been abducted by aliens and everything several times, and one of the things he put in his book was that the chakra system and the pineal gland and the Kundalini energy was an implant into humans, and it's kind of keeping us in like a 4D reality, and he thinks we should be more, it's like an overlay on us. We should just have the pure heart in our centre, and he claims that this whole system's like an implant. Would you have any comment on that? Because nobody else is quoting that, and I just wondered what somebody who was quite into that kind of thing would think about that sentence.
That is an interesting statement. I've never heard that before. Mm-hmm. The first thing that came to my mind, and that's what I'm going to run with, is that possibility is there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Based on all the research that I have done over the years, I would have. I'm not going to say, "Oh, that's a crock of crap." No, mm-hmm. That possibility is there. That could be implanted in there. Mm-hmm. And
because what he claims is like aliens in the fourth or whatever another dimension created this system whereby we give our power to that, and they're like they've created a false light that's not our true selves, just our pure heart centre. It's like an overlay that when we go into that stuff, that's how they get their energy from us. So it's like a trick by them, because they've had eons to evolve and do this stuff. That's how they done it.
Exactly. So this is how I work through aspects of what you've just said. I never go, oh, that's a crock of crap.
Yeah, I keep my mind open to everything, basically, because we don't know. We're so small in the universe, we can't say we know for sure anything, I think. So,
well, exactly.
You've got to keep an open mind.
And we go back to what Constantine did to the Bible. And again, my friend Hannah Laura, who went to the seminaries in New York and it was a multidisciplinary seminary, and so when she was ordained as a reverend and as a reverend, it was by someone that was Catholic, and by a shaman, and by a rabbi, and I don't remember all the others that she stated, but she learned from all of these modalities, and she says the actual Bible out there that we have right now is the Reader's Digest version of what has really been written. Yep. So in that aspect of your statement there, and what Hannah Laura has taught me, what has taken place is that we have been fed a lot of lies, and a lot of truths have been taken away from us. So in the aspect of the truths being taken away from us, a void has been created with the truths taken away. We now step into any lie that they feed us. Yep.
Or just the manipulation of the truth. It's like 90% truth, and that 10% spinning it is enough to get us going away from the right thing, you know?
Yes.
Because that's essentially what they've done with the Bible. They took all these different pagan religions and whatever, and then amalgamated them into one story, and sold it back to the people who were against them, and kind of got taxes from them and conquered people, and they just went into the rest of the world after that with their successful mission.
and still operating in that realm.
Yeah, they had to sell it back to them. There had to be truth in it to sell it back to them, you know? Otherwise they wouldn't believe it. So that's why there's kind of bits and pieces there. Because I've heard people talk about, you know, the pineal gland, and they can relate the Bible and Jesus, whatever, in that story as well, you know, and talking about the pineal gland and all different aspects, astrotheology and everything. So there's truth in there. But as you say, the Reader's Digest version is a lot different to the original core teachings we've probably lost, yeah?
Yes. Now, have you ever had the opportunity to connect with your power animal?
I've never done that particular exercise.
Okay. So in Hannah Laura's class, one of the exercises that we do is that we pair up with members of the class, and the one that we pair up with goes in and finds our power animal for us, and then in turn, when that's done, the other person goes in for the other person and looks for their power animal, going into that middle world where the animals are. It's a fabulous adventure to go after.
Actually, I did spend a weekend and I did do something like that. I think it was a wolf or something that came up. It was just an experience of travelling into the imagination like that. I done it for a couple of days, and it's really fascinating, as you say, to kind of explore those realities, whatever, in a conscious way, but, you know, going deep into yourself, and it kind of, this world appears that you're not actually aware that's there, you know?
Yep. And so my power animal was the turtle.
Okay.
And you get into that, the aspect of the turtle, it has a lot to do with the female, and being a two-spirit, and resonating to that energy of being a woman, but yet I have this male body and this male voice. That was really profound for me, that the turtle came up as one of my power animals.
Well, as soon as you said turtle, there's that image of the earth sitting on top of the turtle, yeah? So it's kind of an old story, this turtle. Do you know much about that? You know what I'm talking about, yeah?
A little bit. I do, yes, a little bit, not a lot. So if you want to expound on that.
No, I don't know, I was just asking you. I just know, basically, there's turtles got a myth of being somehow to do with creation, somehow. It's like the source of the universe is sitting on a turtle or something. I need to look at it more.
Well, that story is there, but where does life come from to start with? And it comes from Mother.
Yeah, obviously that turtle thing is just a myth, you know. But that's why myths are good.
There may be a lesson in there for us to listen.
Exactly, yeah, that's why they're there.
It could be another implant.
That's true.
I'm not here to judge, but I am here to question.
So you mentioned Two-Spirit there. Oh, sorry, I don't want to interrupt you. Carry on.
Go ahead.
You're a Two-Spirit. Would you just like to expand on that a wee bit? What exactly is a Two-Spirit? Because is it a woman in a man's body? Is that basically not necessarily gay? Or?
Not necessarily gay. What do you know about the two spirits?
Well, I've just been doing a bit of research, and I watched a video on your website with the guy, the kind of Native American guy. So obviously, past the two spirits have been held in high regard by Native Americans because obviously God has done something special to create this being. And I just wondered how they differed from gays, because I know gays were quite, homosexuals were held in different esteem as well back in those cultures. So they've got this obviously, and they're healers and, special people in the culture that are kind of revered. And is that the same with every two-spirit, or is it just you just happen to be a healer and a two-spirit?
Well, let me give you a little bit of my background so that you have an understanding of where I come from and how I came into it. I was born in Edmonton. I was raised in southern Alberta, Canada. I was adopted out. My birth mother gave me up for adoption. Okay. And I have since found my birth family.
All right.
And I found out that I am the second oldest of 14.
My God.
And I was the only one adopted out. And so from a very, very early age, as almost since I can remember, I've always been interested in being female. I at the age of 2.5, the first Christmas that I can really remember, I got a doll for Christmas. Had that doll the whole time, and then on top of that, living in a Mormon community, being raised as a Mormon, it didn't go well.
I bet it didn't.
And so you then top that off with my ability to sense people's energies. I learned how to survive and how to shut parts of me off to survive. And I remember very well at the age of 6 going down to my cousin's place on my bicycle with my doll in the basket of my bike. And it was just before I was going to start grade 1. And we're off riding, and he stops, and he goes, "You can't do that anymore." And I go, "Can't do what?" And he goes, "You can't play with dolls anymore." And I went, "Well, why?" "Well, because you're a boy, and boys don't play with dolls," and on and on, on and on. And in that moment, as I got on my bike and I rode away, and I learned this later in taking Hannah Lore's class, I left a part of me, that 6-year-old boy girl, in that field on that trail where we were at. And we shut parts of us down when we go through traumas like that. Any kind of trauma, we shut a part of us down. I have since then retrieved that little 6-year-old boy girl. And I was talking to somebody, I think it was yesterday, maybe it was on a radio program, and I was explaining that I have to go out and buy myself a doll because that little boy girl misses playing with dolls. And so it is very proper for me to honor that and protect that little 6-year-old boy girl and get that doll and have it in my room and play with it once in a while. Yep, I know. And so So that's where I was at that age. I went all through school.
So that basically shut you down. You had to kind of try and shut off your femininity or that aspect of yourself. Did you feel
that aspect of myself? Yes, and so it was hard to be around people. I spent a lot of my time being a loner. I never had what you would call true friends, and I was always beating myself up. So now, as I got old enough to be at home by myself, when the family went off to town for the afternoon, I had the house to myself, and it was into Mom's closet because the girl had to come out.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It was need to show itself sometime. Yeah.
Yeah. So the girl would come out on that Saturday. She would be put back in the closet just before they got home. The beat myself up period would happen on the Sunday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was vowing never to do this horrible thing again.
Yeah.
And then Saturday was, when are they leaving so I can do this again?
Yeah.
And that constant battle all through my teenage years.
Yeah.
And then the worst thing happened. I outgrew my mom's clothes. Oh, awful. Yuck.
You had to get some of your own.
Yeah, well, I couldn't.
You couldn't hide them anywhere.
And yeah, I didn't know how to do
it. Right. Had to go to a shop and get them,
even at the age of 15, I had thought of running away from home, because I heard about Christine Jorgensen in Switzerland, and they do these fabulous operations in Switzerland. So I couldn't run away from home because I went through that process on a mental aspect. And I go, well, if I do that, I'm creating harm to the people that raised me. And I don't want to create that harm to them. I don't have where am I going to get $30,000 for the operation? and you see, I didn't have any foundation of information under me to make a decision. And this is the whole crux of everything we do. What's the foundation that we put underneath us? Usually it's a slight emotion and no knowledge or experience behind it. And I couldn't go to my parents because I didn't think to understand. And that's a huge rift in all family relationships. What are my parents going to think? Well, they're going to think. They may not be properly, but I guarantee you they're going to think. Having raised 5 of my own, we're always thinking, but not always properly, because we weren't given the manual to raise that individual child, and each individual child has their own manual, but
you have to figure out.
It's not given to us. I had to figure that out, and I haven't always done things properly, but I did it anyways, and there's times that I still go through the aspect of I wasn't a really good parent. Yet my kids come back and say, but you taught us how to work. And I did teach them how to work, because that is the one thing that we can all give one another, is teaching each other how to work. And that's a beautiful aspect. And so now moving on.
Just on the teaching how to work, is that because you grew up on a farm and you were kind of was that an interesting experience? Oh,
there was always something to do. Something, driving the tractor. I started driving tractor when I was 11. Forced my dad into it. Just get on this tractor. I'll teach you how to do it. Just get out of my hair. And I was in heaven out there on that tractor.
Yeah, I think actually school children too long. We should at that age getting out and work and doing stuff is good for them. It's good. You develop skills, real life skills, in that point, instead of sitting in a classroom.
Exactly. And I remember one time it was calving time, and they were talking about birthing calves, and I says, well, I'd like to see that. I had seen it so much that I didn't even recognize it. And this was before I had started school. And so it was so natural that I didn't recognize people talking about it when I heard him talking about it, so these are some of the things we go through when we're growing up, and so I got married when I was 18.
Okay.
And one of the reasons that I got married when I was 18 is because got a girl pregnant.
All right.
and I was also looking for someone to look like me, because I would hang around my families, the adopted families, and they would all talk about who looked like who.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't look like anybody, and nobody could talk about me.
Right.
And so there was that, well, I don't look like anybody. Nobody can talk about who I look like, so I ended up helping create somebody. Had to have a woman, again, get that. I want this understood clearly. Mm-hmm. I had to get a woman to get to that state where someone would look like me.
All right.
We can't do it without the women, period.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that.
But the women can do it without us.
That's true.
Do it without the men.
Yep.
And that's not a put down on the men. That's just the way it is.
Yep.
That's just the way it is. And so when you men have a woman that helps you should be highly honored and highly revered that she has accepted you, and you damn well better make sure that you are honoring her with all your actions.
I mean, I agree with that, but it's difficult in the modern world when there's all these monetary stress values and, expectations from relationships. But ultimately, I think you have to be honest in whatever the situation is, and honour, disrespect, and being honest with the situation, and do your best by that,
Exactly. Now, here was the crux of things for me. I was not living in my truth.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in a community that would not allow that to happen. I wasn't able to talk to my parents about it. I wanted to be a girl. I had to be the boy, so I did do that. And I enjoyed doing all those boy things, riding the horse, driving the tractors, throwing the bales of hay. Mm-hmm. Those were all good experiences. And I wasn't taught how to do things in the house. Now you put me in a house, I can cook you one of the best soups around. I can cook you an awesome meal. I can do dishes. I'm not the greatest house cleaner. I haven't got that well done yet. Okay.
Okay. Well,
I can go out and I can chop wood for the lodge. I can split wood.
Uh-huh.
I can do all of those aspects, and that's part of being
right.
A two-spirit, is to be able to step in both of those roles.
So I was going to ask you about the two roles. Do you feel male, or just physically you're male and you feel feminine?
You got it. That is it. I'm in this male body.
Right.
I so resonate to being a woman, and
so it's not like you have a male. You don't have a male side and a female side. You have a feminine aspect of your personality. You consider yourself female, but the body's male.
Yes, and my clan mother says, "You are such a woman." When I go somewhere, how do I pack?
Yeah.
Oh, shoot, because I have my drum, I have my flute. Yeah. Can't figure out what to wear, because I don't know if you heard your wife ever say, "I don't have a thing to wear," because it all ties in. Our clothes tie in with our personality, mm-hmm. and how are we feeling in that moment, and our clothes explain how we're feeling in that moment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, the guys around the community here go, "Well, holy shit, you pack a lot." And my clan mother goes, "She's a woman. You gotta understand, she's a woman." What do guys take? Whatever they need in the moment, and the moment can be quite a long moment, but it works
we'll get by
for them, as it did for me when I was in that guy
mm-hmm.
mode.
So you got married to find this aspect of yourself, and did you find after a while that wasn't enough, or what happened with that?
Well, busy raising children, busy hiding a part of myself, busy trying to make this male body work for everybody. Wasn't working for me wholly and totally, but now I have children to take care of, and so I couldn't walk away from that.
Of course.
Even if I was not doing it the way it should have been, I couldn't walk away from it. So we got all the kids raised, and then when the last one moved out, it was like, holy shoot, I'm free now. It was like I was let out of jail. Not that raising children was a bad thing.
Yeah.
But hey, it's all about me now.
Yeah. Well, you're concerned for your child's experiences at school if you took them to school in a dress and stuff like that, you know? So you're concerned with their welfare.
And one time, there's one time I wanted to, in the worst way, because my ex couldn't do it. She was at work, and it was kind of forget the exact thing, but I would have given anything to put on a dress and go there, but it wouldn't work. So you see all the conflicts that one has in their mind, and it doesn't matter whether you're a two-spirit or a straight heterosexual male or female. Whatever it is, we all have these conflicts that we go through. And as my one teacher, Hannah Laura, has stated many, many times, there is no way she would want to be in my shoes to experience what I've had to experience.
Yep. So, well, we say we're only given things that we can actually handle, you know. So, obviously, you've
based on that statement, that makes me pretty freaking
exactly
strong.
Yeah. Well, you had to be strong from the word go. You kind of
because there has. Because there's been many, many times that I've wanted to end it all because it just wasn't right.
Yeah, I mean, I cannot relate at all to that. I mean, that's the world we're talking about, you know, hopefully is coming sometime. We hope where people will need to repress this side of themselves. It'll just be accepted, you know, and we should accept each other for who they are and the particular gifts of that individual rather than label everybody and all that stuff, you know.
It's about understanding, and it's having that foundation. So when I finally got in the internet, late 97, early 98, and the only term that I had at that time was cross-dresser.
Okay.
And I punched that in the computer, and I was blown away by all the people that claim to be cross-dressers. And the first thing that went in my mind was, holy shoot, I'm not the only freak in the world. I'm not a freak anymore. Yeah. Wow, that was.
And how old were you when that happened?
I spent a good. Probably 40.
Yeah. I mean, that's quite a long time to realise there wasn't other people like yourself, you know?
Well, I knew they were out there a little bit. I didn't know to that extent. And I was so fortunate to come across this one person's website that she was a cross-dresser, but she was a class act. And because there's some of them out there that they're, oh my word, not to be a put down, but they're just there. It seems to be there for the sex, and it's not about sex. It's about being as elegant and dignified as we can in any particular moment. And so I kept researching and looking, and one day I stumbled across this article by Wendy Susan Parker. And I'm just going to pull that up for you here and send that link to you. That was the most freeing article
to keep on your desktop
that I had ever found.
I'm saying, do you keep on your desktop as a wee reminder?
I handed it out to yeah, that's a good point, because I'm not computer computers I can do research, and that's about it. And
But
anything else just mucks
I'm
me up.
guessing these days,
But I am
that
learning.
you're
I am
well
learning.
over. You've accepted yourself, for who you are. You don't need to read anything to confirm that anymore.
No. Well, I'm still learning. I have a lot of accepting of who I am as a two-spirit. And, I remember the one site that I got on, with the cross-dressers, and there was some good conversations. There was always some guy jumping in, wanting sex. And so, but again, I needed to go through those things to learn about my inside. What is it that I like? What is it I don't like? Or what is it that I accept and things that I find very offensive? And again, not beating somebody else up because I find something offensive. Just because I find it offensive doesn't mean that it's totally wrong. But we all have our limits there. And one of the examples that I use on that is pedophiles. Not a lot of people have a lot of flexibility with pedophiles.
Nope.
And just the way you say that, nope, we don't, and because it messes children up, and I've actually seen that happen when I used to be on Neighborhood Watch, president of the Neighborhood Watch in a village that I lived in, and my ex was working at a foster home, and there was one child in there that had been sexually abused by his dad since he was a baby.
Yep.
And the destructive aspects of this young boy were unbelievable, and I spent many late hours to 2-3 o'clock in the morning on patrol, making sure that person wasn't around that house, and I've seen the destructive nature of being a pedophile. So does that mean I hate pedophiles? Well, I don't have. How do I want to put that?
Hatred towards them.
You're creating harm being a pedophile. You're creating harm. That part I don't like. Can that be changed in you? Can that attitude be changed in you? Possibly. And then the reason I say possibly is because I know for freaking fact well that you're not going to take away from me the fact that I'm a two-spirit. Yep. I have worked my whole life trying to shut that aspect of me down, to the point where I was ready to kill myself at times. Yep. And the accepting of the spiritual aspect of a two-spirit has freed me in so many ways. And I haven't had anybody to teach me what it is to be a two-spirit. And I actually got to meet an individual from the Blood Reserve in Alberta here. Gave him a ride somewhere from one of the pride dances in Lethbridge. And I gave him a ride home, and he was telling me that he was a two-spirit and that his grandparents were teaching him everything about being a two-spirit. And I went, wow, holy shoot, you had somebody to teach you. Oh. And he says, I had to walk away from it. And I went, why? He says, because I couldn't handle that responsibility. I didn't want that responsibility. And I honor him in that statement, because if there is something that you're doing and you realize that this isn't for you and you don't want that responsibility, and you have the courage to say, I don't want that, and you walk away from it, I salute that person.
When you say the responsibility, do you mean the tradition of this two-spirit you're talking about? Obviously not their nature themselves, but just what they were trying to teach them to be a certain type of person.
There is, you go into the book, Zuni Man Woman by Will Roscoe. And Wiwa was a two-spirit from the Zuni reservation in New Mexico. Okay. I got that book, and it took me a day and a half to get through that book. I just could not put it down. And learning about the two spirits, and just went, wow, because it's you know,
so you think it is like
people go, what are you doing nowadays?
I mean, so do you think it is like a kind of responsibility? Obviously, the other person's walked away, but when you discover this two-spirit, do you feel called to kind of go deeper into it? And, you know, does everyone, I guess everyone's different at the end of the day, but in general, is that when you talk to other two-spirits, they're all on that kind of path? Or, you know?
Well, you know, I haven't had the opportunity to...
Yep,
you still there? Okay, just had something flash up on my computer there. Anyways, now where was he?
So you haven't had the opportunity to meet much more?
I haven't to meet a lot of two spirits. For whatever reason, I've been sheltered from them. I've talked to a few on the internet. I really look forward to actually someday being in a group of two spirits and just sharing with them and being with them. But I think there was a reason for that, and that reason is for where I am at right now. I am the sacred two spirit to the one who originally stepped out of the sacred tree of life.
Yep.
Many eons ago, when this planet was first.
Okay, well, we spent the first hour talking about, you know, your two-spirit experiences. Be very interesting, but that is actually something I would like to talk to you about as well. This connection you've got with Sun and how all that came about, and that story is an incredible story. You know, the manuscript. I've only listened to the first two audios, and it's kind of quite heavy to take it all in, but it's mind blowing.
I can relate to what you're saying. I can totally relate to what you're saying. And what I want to say is as the sacred two spirit, to the one who has that memory of when she stepped out of the sacred tree of life many.
So we're basically saying that this lady, Sun, basically there was the planets got together and had a chit-chat and decided that Tiamat was going to be the one to give birth to life on the solar system. And then basically there was a flash of light came down to Earth, and over a period of time then the tree of life, the hemp plant, was the first plant on the planet. And from that grew everything. That grew really big, and all the other plants came from that. And then eventually when the planet was, you know, had oxygen or whatever, and ready, then this woman, Isis or whatever, walked out of the tree of life, directly out of a tree, fully formed with no belly button, and then Father Sky and all that got involved, you know. But this woman, Sun, is a direct relation of that first Isis, is a direct incarnation. That's what you're saying.
Has that cellular memory, is how
cellular memory.
She states that. Cellular memory.
So does that mean she's like, just in the line, she's brought that through a DNA chain, or is it like her spirit?
Well, let's expand our minds on that a little bit. And let's throw everything out that you have ever imagined and just add it this way. Divine Mother has the abilities and the wisdom to place where she wants and who she wants placed to bring in the creation. And over the eons, if you get into the manuscript, over the eons, because the solar system originated in the Sagittarius Dwarf Galaxy and was hijacked, and we now sit in the Orion arm of the Milky Way Galaxy.
So briefly, could you just what is the hijack? How did that happen? I know it's a long story, but just to explain to people how it came from that star system to this star system.
They took the whole solar system.
Who's they?
There was a group of people. You know, I'd have to go through the manuscript again, because I've been doing a lot of catch-up in the last year. to be where she's at. So, there was a group of people that took on the notion that, they had more wisdom than the Divine Mother, and they hijacked the solar system. And there was a whole energy thing, and in that hijacking, the moon, Tiamat's moon, hit her and created huge damage, and Tiamat didn't have her moon anymore. And through the circuitry web of life, and you're just going to have to take this at face value and read about it in the manuscript, with your mature ego, and I'm talking, when I say I'm talking about the whole population that wants to read this, with the mature ego, and just take it for what it is. Don't try and put anything into it. Just read it and allow the spirit of Divine Mother to work with you, because if I, when I was reading it, if I would have ever started questioning anything, like what a crock of crap that is, it would have taken me off anywhere. And I'm not saying don't question. There's a way to question things that allows the ego, the spirit, the heart, the mind to all come together and go, wow, that resonates with me. Or wow, I don't get that. Because it's okay not to get it. But to battle against it really throws everyone's spirit into a state of confusion. And this is something that we really have to work with as the masses, is to step out of the confusion and step into, okay, I read that, I don't get it, but I will put that up somewhere where if I'm reminded of it, I will see if I can tie some ends together. And then we're not putting all these emotions to what we're doing. We're actually going and learning step by step. And this is what this has been for me in the past year and 3 months, is everything has been step by step. And the hugest lesson, the biggest lesson that I've learned here being with my clan mother, is that just because I think it should go a certain way based on all that I've learned, doesn't happen this way. Because what I've learned is that Divine Mother's time is Divine Mother's time, and it's Divine Mother's way. And to have that be life, I am working with Divine Mother. And I don't push this, I don't push that. I am allowed to question, I am allowed to go, what's that all about? And I am allowed to go, I don't quite understand all of that. And everything that I have done, that we have done here, I have seen an order take place, and it is nothing like we humans perceive it should be. And that's very unique. Go ahead now.
Yeah, I mean, I've from what I've read and listened to the various interviews, I mean, I resonate quite strongly with what she's saying, and when she's speaking, it's unbelievably genuine, passionate feelings, and it seems very plausible to me. I haven't read it in full detail to grasp it, but that's something I definitely want to do, because she's obviously there's a lot of work in that website and in that manuscript, and then she goes on. There's so many aspects to this, I don't know where to start. Like she.
Welcome to my world.
Well, how did you get involved? Would you like to briefly describe, just who she is and how you got involved and what the purpose is? Because, she's sending these legal things to the governments of Ireland and the Queen and all this stuff, and she's claiming that Obama is acting on things because of who she is, and she's remembered the source of life and all this kind of stuff, so they have to abide by her legal writs that she's sending out, because she's claimed the game. You know what I'm talking about, yeah?
I do. I understand. Now, how did I meet her? And remember the fine lines that take place in her life. I had met an individual at the Calgary Body Soul Spirit Expo. and we would talk a little bit, and then we would meet at the next one, and we'd talk, and then we exchange phone numbers, and then while I call this individual up, and I also write, and I had written a piece called The Gathering, and I would read this to this individual, and one day she said to me, "You have to call son." And my first reaction to that was, who? And she goes, son. I went, son? And I'm thinking to myself, what kind of name is that? And because I have
S-U-N-S-O-N.
I have that male aspect going all the time. Yeah, I'm going, that's a strange name for somebody. Why would I want to talk to somebody called son? And another little voice says, you need to talk to son. Okay. Didn't have a clue who this individual was. Not a frickin' clue. And I called this individual up and I says, I have been told to call you.
Okay.
And our first phone call lasted almost 5 hours. As I read to her my writings. As she cried on the other end with almost everything that I spoke. And it was in those moments, thank you. And it was in those moments that she says, you are my sacred two-spirit. And she was waiting for me. And so we had some communication. And then we lost that communication. And I just went, okay, when she's ready for me, she will let me know. And it was, a year ago and 3 months ago, I got an email. And it was from one of those emails that I don't check very often. And on one day I said, I gotta check that email. And I checked it, and that email was just a couple days old, and there was a phone number there, and I called her. And she says, it's time. And you're to move in with us now. And I says, I can't. I've made some commitments that will not allow me to do that, and I will not back down from those commitments. But I'll see what I can do. And so it worked out that I was traveling in between places. I would do my job 3 days a week, and I would be with her 4 days a week, and back and forth for a good 3 months. And I've been full time with her since January. And as a two-spirit, and for what her desires are, is I am to balance the energy. So I help her balance herself, and I am the balance between because on the right is the masculine, and on the the far left, far right is masculine, far left is female. I am in that middle. I'm in that middle aspect, the balance of the male and the female. So my presence is balanced, and I've had many people wherever I go, many times go, wow, just you being here seems to bring a balance in. And I go, well, thank you very much. Not totally understanding. Pardon me? Say that?
So I find your voice very calming whenever I listen to it. I don't know why that happens, but it's a nice voice to listen to.
I don't know why either, because when I listen to myself, I go, ooh, people like that? But I've had that many times. Like, just so often that people go, wow, I could listen to you forever. And say...
Yeah, when I listen to you, I find your voice very soothing, and I kind of tune into it and resonate with your words and your feeling.
Well, so that takes us off on takes me off on another little spiral here is frequency. And we all are a frequency. And so the voice that we have is a frequency, and the rhythm that we create, and you as a poet know what rhythm does to the words. And we listen to musicians get up and they have all the drums and the guitars and the instruments. But as a poet, our whole body is the instrument, and we create the frequency and the rhythm of what is to take place. So you should understand that well, of how important the frequency and the rhythm is. And for me, it just seems to be there. And lucky me, huh?
Well, thanks. I don't really actually consider myself a poet. I just kind of rhyme the second and fourth line and take it from there. Your style is a bit more natural, it's more free-flowing. So when you read it, it just sounds like you're speaking, but obviously the words are very carefully chosen. And I think your writing's amazing, so basically it should be read by a lot more people.
Thank you. And here's the funny aspect of that. I hated English and language classes in school, could not get it. And then the teacher say, "Write. I want you to write about this." I couldn't write sweet tweet when I was in school. Nouns, verbs, adjectives, if you wanted me to explain them to you now, I couldn't do it. I can't do it. But I can sit down and I can write, and I can create beautiful pieces now because I'm not hung up on all the rules.
Yeah, I don't write enough. There was one period a friend challenged me to write a poem a day, every day for a year, and for those 3 months that I'd done it, only lasted 3 months, and I wish I'd kept it going, but I stopped. But in that time, I found the writing getting better. Basically, anything we want to do in life, we have to put time and effort into it, and you don't become brilliant immediately. It's the work that you do, so if you spend time doing that all the time, obviously your writing gets better.
It is. It allows me to connect on a lot of different levels. But just to sit down and write for writing's sake, I can't do that. I'd be doing something or thinking, and even sometimes Sun has been talking, and I'm like, stop. And I says, I gotta go finish this. And she doesn't have a clue what's going on, and she can't figure out what she said wrong. But she said the right thing. And I was able to finish a piece, and then I says, "Come in here, I gotta share this with you." And it was just like, oh, that's what took place. I went, yeah, you said what I needed. Now I could finish this. And she goes, wow, fantastic. And so I have the so-called dry spells where there just is nothing there, and then it starts flowing.
Yeah, actually, I'm the same. Through not writing, I'm actually doing other stuff. And when I get the need to write, you feel like a tap on the shoulder. It's like the universe is saying, okay, I've got something for you, so better sit down and do it. It's learning to listen to that intuition.
Exactly, and I want to make a statement, and I want to be very clear on that. Everything that I write is not mine. I have been given the opportunity to put my name to it, stating that I am the one that wrote the words down. But everything that I write about has been given to me by a Divine Mother. And that's some we'll talk here. Anybody to sleep. I may be a writer with words given to me, and I share with them, everyone freely. And all that I ask is that you keep my name to what I write, so that we will be able to honor the Divine Mother, because she is the one that allows me to share the words and the ideas with whoever reads them. And you can testify for yourself what those words are doing for you. and where they take you.
Yeah, I believe Keith Richards, he basically he said that he doesn't own the songs and they're everywhere in the universe, they're coming through the walls, and he's just like an antenna that picks up on the songs and brings them into this world. So it's a similar kind of aspect to what you do as well. When I was writing poetry, when I do write, I tend to do that as well, try and get out of the way and just let the stuff kind of be a channel for it.
Yeah, and so psychosomatic therapy. I'm looking at your face here, and you're looking at your eyes. Man, you get intense at times, don't you? Correct? Intense. When you are in the midst of a project, pardon me? Yeah, and you've got curly hair, so the hair is an antenna, and so you are always picking everything up around you.
Well, it's funny you should mention about my hair. You know, I tried to grow my hair back in the day when I was trying to be a rock star, and I never learned the instrument. I lived the lifestyle. I got that back to front, so that was my first mistake. And I grew my hair and I didn't take very good care of it, so it kind of looked a bit disastrous. But I didn't care. I was a rock star, and everyone was telling me to get it cut. And I did, and then I got cut for my wedding actually, and then I always kept it short after that because of that disastrous experience. But last year, about 8 months ago, I heard that Native Americans grew their hair long to be like an antenna, to be more psychic. So that is why I started growing it, and now I totally love it. Superb.
Yes. The hair is an antenna, and you've got curly hair, so curly hair picks up even more. And so if you can, if it gets to be heavy, just shake the energy out. That's what do you see women doing? They're always fluffing up their hair. They're shaking all that extra energy out. And then sometimes the women go, oh, I've got to have something change, and they get their hair cut short. The releasing of that energy, and I had that happen. There was a gal that took the psychosomatic course with me, and she was a hairdresser, and I had her cut my hair once, and she knew exactly what was going on. And she'd take a cut of hair, and then I could feel that energy release, and she would let that flow out, and it was fascinating how that was taking place in that moment, the releasing of that energy. And that's why women cry when they get their hair cut short, because there is such a profound release of energy that takes place on that, in that aspect of doing that.
So, yep, that's very interesting. I just wanted to get back a little bit to talk to your role there with Sun and what you're actually doing with her on a day-to-day basis. What are you like there to heal her, or are you there to do administrative work or help around the house? What is your specific role with the Sunke Temple Trust?
I support her. I've done a lot of the cooking around the house, so that frees her up to focus on administration. She needs driving, I drive her somewhere. Well, right now I'm having this interview. This is another way that I support her. I take care of the sweat lodge, something that she doesn't have to do now. And this is how I do it. So sometimes we just sit down and we talk. Sometimes I just sit down and I let her talk, and I just listen, and I do not interrupt her. I just listen to let her speak her words. And I learned that, I forget from which book, but some of the greatest communicators are the ones that listen. And it was Abraham Lincoln just before he started the Civil War down in the States there. He sat down and talked with someone, and he did all looking, and he when he got done, because he had to hear his own voice first. So many of us just need to hear our own voice, and we need someone there to bounce it off of them so that we can hear our own voice. And he got up from that conversation and he said, "Thank you so much for all the input. And the person responded, but I never said a word. And sometimes we don't have to say words. We just have to listen. And this is one of the things that I do is I listen. And I listen. And when she asks me something, then I speak. And sometimes I just ask questions and get some clarification. Go for it.
Yeah, this is only the second time I've done a radio interview like this, so I'm trying my best not to try and talk over the top of you and let you speak, but you're kind of slow talking sometimes and there's gaps appear, so there's questions I want to ask, so I'm just finding my way, so bear with me.
I hear you, and I'm not an easy one to interview, but you're doing very well. I'm so enjoying this, and the reason I say that is because I've had some students come into my class at times, and or not my class, to my office, and to do an interview, and they say, well, it'll be about 20 minutes, and I go, no. If you're going to interview me, you put aside at least 2 hours, maybe more, because we're not just going to slightly cover what's taking place here. We're going to go deep here, and we're not doing a half-assed job. We're going to go all the way.
Yeah, I mean, I have so many questions here. If we got into it, we could probably make this conversation last 50 hours, so I'm just focusing on the first 4 or 5.
And see where it takes us too, eh? Just the 4 or 5 covers so much territory. Because we're not just looking at this life. There are 64 eons. I pulled it up on the dictionary. An eon is, I got 2 meanings from that. An eon is a billion years from one place, and another was 4.32 billion years is an eon. I don't know which one is correct, so we'll keep it at the simple level because I like simplicity. In one aspect, in another aspect, I love when it's the complexity of everything, but the simplicity allows us to get into the complexity. And so in that aspect, we'll go with 64 billion years ago. We're just not, as you and I are talking, we're not just talking about this lifetime. We're taking in 64 billion years of history with this solar system. We're not just covering this lifetime. We are covering 64 billion years of existence.
Yeah, well, it's a lot to live up to.
Well, it's not about living up to it. It's about honoring it as best as you can in the moment.
Yeah, I mean, in the past I've read a lot about this stuff, and it's you can't just you speak it, but knowing that you will learn more. But if you never spoke at any time, then you would never get anything done. So you have to just work with the knowledge you've got.
We are on a continual basis, and it's fascinating to experience. And when we can be fascinated about our experiences, we get fascinated about life, and then we start getting fascinated about I hate using that word, but for lack of a better term, the truth, or we could say the actuality of what actually happened, instead of what the overlords have put in front of us and ingrained into us into believing, as we slowly gave our power away to the overlords or to the trustees that misused their power. And this is another thing that we talk about a lot. Trustees, you are to be taking care of us. We are the beneficiaries, but we as beneficiaries have responsibilities. And we are not to live in lack of, we are to live in abundance. And there is such a huge gap between those that have abundance and those that have absolutely nothing. And even here in Canada, we drive around in our vehicles and we buy gas and we work the jobs, but there isn't a person around that isn't a month or 2 away from losing their house if they lose their job. The abundance is not there the way it should be. You have said it perfectly. It is incredible the scarcity that is out there, and how do we step into that abundance? First is honoring Mother. Honoring Mother will give us that first step towards abundance. What is the one aspect of Mother? Well, there's the Divine Mother. Star Sun was a mother.
So that term, Divine Mother, what exactly do you mean by Divine Mother?
Creator. Universes. Let's go with universes. Okay. And then Star Sun came from Divine Mother through the Delta 9 frequency, with the help of the Delta 9 frequency under the direction of Divine Mother.
So
and
what
then Star
is
Sun,
the Delta 9 frequency? Can you explain that?
I can, and understand that I'm still learning how to do that. The Delta 9 frequency is the Luciferian frequency. And I was raised Mormon, and I was taught that Lucifer was a mean guy. And so here I am reading the manuscript, and I says, okay, my ego didn't get in the way. I just says, okay, this is where I'm at. This is how I was raised. Can you clarify for me so I can create an understanding of what this Lucifer is about? Because where I come from, how I was raised, this is not good. Will you help me out with this? And those were my exact words. It wasn't like, what the hell are you doing with the devil? No. The Luciferian frequency is, and now I get stumped, because I haven't got the words formed.
The Luciferian energy was the one that came to Earth to kind of give life to Tiamat.
Yes. There you go. Thank you very much. And so I keep reading that, and I'm going, okay, I know that we've been lied to. I keep saying that. I said that all the time up to this point. So now Lucifer is not the devil. The Lucifer is this life-giving frequency. And so all creation has had the Delta 9 frequency, Luciferian frequency, created. Either you get it or you don't. And if you get so fixed, if one gets so fixed, not you, but if people get so fixed in their, I'm going to use the word totalitarian beliefs, that they can't look at something else, then that's what they're going to have to work on themselves. How do I look at something? I had to look at it from my Mormon point of growing up to going, not what a crock of crap, but okay, this is how I was raised. What do you say? And she told me, and I went, oh. And it took me probably 7 months to work through that. It takes time. Well, yeah. And so, and even in the Mormon religion, they talk about the tree of life and the fruit of the tree. There wasn't one individual that could tell me what the tree of life was until I met Sun. Guess what? The tree of life is the cannabis tree. Oh, and I joke about this. Oh, my Mormon friends are going to have such a fit when they find out what the tree of life is really all about. But we have to laugh at ourselves a little bit. The real aspect, though, is 1 acre of hemp is equal to 4 acres of trees. 4 acres of trees takes a good 50 years to grow before you can harvest it again. Every year you can harvest the hemp, and that rejuvenates the soil. So if we want to clean up the planet, we are going to start growing hemp on a huge basis. You can get medicine from hemp. You can get food from hemp. I had my hemp protein today. There's the hemp seeds that I use. There's clothing from hemp, medicine from hemp. And then it rejuvenates the soil. Now, I've just been reading lately, and I've got this on my other page here. I want to pull this up for you. His name is McCarrison. He was Sir Robert McCarrison, Major General, formerly Director of Research on Nutrition in India. He was talking about the aspects of how the soil is so depleted, and this was back in, when was the year on this? Don't know if I can find it quickly. In the early 1900s, he was doing this research, around 1939 actually. Doing research on how depleted the soil is. Pardon me? Say that again, please, Bill. Yeah, well, we're not even talking about pollution. We're talking about the depletion of the soil that has taken place. And the reason there are so many diseases around the world is because of the depletion of the soil. We want to live in abundance, but we have this aspect of thinking that abundance is money. Money is nothing but a debt factor created by the banks to put you and I into their servitude. So if we really want abundance, the tree of life will be planted again everywhere on the planet, and the soil will be rejuvenated. And with the rejuvenation soil, with the vitamins and the minerals and the nutrients that our body needs, because we come from the one that stepped out of the tree of life, our chemistry of our bodies is almost identical to the plant life. And if the plant life is suffering, our bodies are going to be suffering. And even to the point where the animals that we eat, if they're not having the nutrients, they're suffering, and when we eat them, we are eating something that is suffering from lack of nutrients. So, and then we wonder why everything is so bad, and then we have pharmaceutical companies that jump in and give us synthetic medicinal properties that our body doesn't recognize, and then people go, can't figure out why I'm not getting better. That's because we've been strip mined like the planet. and McCarrison verifies that with his research back in 1939, time and time again, and profound information that this gentleman put out for us. Quit the strip mining of the planet, quits the strip mining of ourselves, plant the hemp, the abundance of life, and we all live in abundance. And it's not about having 6 houses, and it's not about having 7 or 8 cars. It's about living life and doing what you and I are doing right now, sharing.
Yeah, I'm basically, this is what I think we should organise. We should talk more, share more, and get to know your neighbour better. And basically, the communities should be the thing for the future, and not rely on these institutions and that controls everybody through the monetary system. You kind of wonder why we all get up every day and go to these same jobs instead of connecting with our fellow man right beside us and working together for the greater good of all.
Because there was a group of people around the mid-1930s that decided that if the tree of life actually really connected with everybody, that they would lose their power. And so the war on drugs took place. And the war on drugs is a war against mother. And I'm talking about the hemp tree, the tree of the sacred tree of life. And when one wars on mother, you are automatically warring on yourself. And so much of the wars that go on are a war against mother. They continue to... Go ahead. Let me put it like this. Being raised Mormon, I grew up fighting myself, listening to the church. Gays were evil people. Gay and lesbians were evil people. And so I had quite an argument with myself and not totally understanding it because they taught me how to hate myself. I taught my children not to like people like me because I damn sure didn't want my kids growing up going through what I was going through. And so I taught them not to like me. And I taught myself not to like myself. And in that aspect of doing that, the harm that was created was unbelievable. So, what was your question again? I got so much to say I can't get it out. I apologize. Thank you. Because it's some of us are thinking that it's going to be like the snap of a thumb and it's going to change overnight. 2012, I think, is something that is profound, that it is happening. It is happening. You and I are in that happening at this moment. And how many others out there that are doing radio shows are in that happening at this moment? And it's a shift. Definitely it's a shift. I used to drive truck and shift gears. There's a special way to make the shift smoothly. And we have to start out in what my dad called was bull low, the first gear. And everybody's going to be in different gears, and everybody's going to have different transmissions going, and everybody's going to be at different speeds. But we're all going to do this together. And this is what Sun is doing. If you could just understand the love and the compassion that she has for every individual on this planet, and the hurt that she experiences when women and children are brutalized. I get to watch this. When I first got here, I would sit down by myself and go, how the hell did I get here? Why me? And it was almost on a daily basis. How the hell did I do this? And then I would pull out some of my work and read it that I had written before I got here. And I went, oh my word. And what has happened since then is everything that I had written before I got here was reminding me of who and where I was supposed to be. And I'm going, oh, wow. And that realization started opening me up more to and deeper to who I am. Profound experience to take on. And then my truth serum, we all have a truth serum to take in this aspect. My truth serum was one day I was introducing her. She is the one with 10,000 names. And I'm going, well, if I am in this for sure, then I will be introducing her as I know her. And I turn to this individual I was introducing, and this is my queen, and she is Isis. The freedom in that, of speaking the truth as I see it, that was my truth serum. That is how I talk about her. That is how I introduce her. She is an awesome individual. I've been accused of worshiping her. No, I don't worship her. I disagree with her at times. But I hold her in reverence. And where did I learn about reverence? In the Mormon Church, because I had to speak on that one day. They gave me a month to put that talk together, and they says, well, what topic do you want me to speak on? And they said reverence, and I went to in my head, I'm going, what a Mickey Mouse subject, reverence. I went through the Bible and the Book of Mormon and the Doctrine and Covenants, and I referenced everything on reverence. Then I cross-referenced it, and then I cross-referenced the cross-referencing. And it took me a month to come up to the one short statement. What is reverence? It is the highest form of respect that one can show to another person or another individual. How do we hold ourselves in reverence? What's the reverence we hold for ourselves, and what's the reverence that we hold for other individuals? That highest form of respect. This is part of the shift that's taking place that we're all working at, is to, number one, how do we hold ourselves? In what kind of reverence do we hold ourselves? And what kind of reverence do we hold others in? And sometimes we don't hold others in a very high reverence because we're all mirroring to one another what's taking place. And sometimes those mirrors are lessons that we have to learn. I'm going through that right now with somebody, and I'm put myself into a spiritual quarantine. I'm up in my room here pretty well by myself all the time because I don't feel that I'm being elegant and dignified in all my reactions to an individual. And so I'm the one that's out of balance. I'm the one that hack on myself. And in that aspect, I'm slowly working through my objections to what I think is actually happening. And every once in a while there's a little piece that comes up and I'm going, oh, that's what that's about. Oh, that's what that's about. And there's some anger that I have to release yet within myself. And so there's the preparation is now in place of releasing that anger that's within myself. And when I have everything in place, I will step forward and that anger will be released. It might be released a little bit at a time, or I may have done that 75% that will allow me to release the next 25% to where the whole 100% is done. When I get myself straight, yes, and I learned that lesson in Home Depot. I don't know if you know what a Home Depot is from over here, but it's a huge mall that has all the tools for house building and appliances and all that. And I went in one day to get some plywood to fix a bed. And I walked in there, and at that time I was 350 pounds. You couldn't miss me. And yet I would have salespeople walk by me like I was invisible. And I go, what the hell? And I got mad. I left. And it was a Sunday, so I went to go to another place. They were all closed. And I went back to that Home Depot, sat in the parking lot, and I leaned back the seat in the truck, and I went to sleep. And I woke up and I went, oh my word, I feel different. I feel better. I actually like who I am in this moment. And I got out of the truck and I walked into the door. I didn't even get through the door and the person says, can we help you? And I went to myself, oh my word. It wasn't them. I was the one that was out of sync. And here I was mad as hell at them. But it was me that was out of sync. Exactly. You know, and so you take my zodiac, I'm a Taurus. I'm an old ornery bull. And I had the opportunity to work on some ranches and being raised on the farm to be around bulls. I know exactly what they're frickin' like. And this one ranch I worked on, we were loading some bulls up to take up to summer pasture, and loading these bulls, and the fellow I was working with, he goes, you go up there and stand by the gate, and then you can haze that bull in. If that bull got up there, and I'm standing behind this gate, and it's the only thing that's between him and me, and I got my back to a wall, and all he has to do is take his 3,000 pounds, put his head up against it, and crush me. And I'm looking at this bull, and he's looking at me, and the thoughts are going, don't you dare piss me off, or I will hurt you. And he's just standing there looking, and I'm not moving because I don't want to piss this bull off. And I go, Don, can you come up here? I need your help. And Don had this way with the animals, and he come up and distracted the bull a little bit, and then the bull turned and walked down where he was supposed to go. And Don says to me, so do you think women think that all males are like that? And I turned to him and says, I hate to say it, but I will have to agree with you that most of us males are like that at times. We are these old ornery bulls. You piss us off, we're bigger than you are. We'll show you who's in charge. And that is not the way to treat the women that give us life. And so even the animals have been teaching me. And everywhere I go, there's a lesson for me to learn. And I'm always being taught. It's an amazing experience to have so many teachers that are always there for us. It's profound. And thank you for allowing me to see that experience in this moment. To see how many teachers have before me continue. It is one wild roller coaster ride to listen to her on a daily basis. And I've been on a few television interviews down in Lethbridge on adoptees. And that was back in the mid-90s. I've just started the radio shows here in first part, actually the end of October. 31st of October was my first radio show. And so I've done a few of those. Son says, you're doing a radio show. I want you to do one on the Two Spirits. Okay. And that's, that's how it works. She's the clan mother. I don't have to, well, we're all recreating. It was just time. It was time to bring out the knowledge of the Two Spirits, to bring out the purpose of the Two Spirits. I have been with her a year and 3 months now, and it was time. It was time for me to start stepping more fully into my truth and deeper into my truth. And thank you for being here to allow me to do that. So your purpose is being expounded upon with what we're doing here. And I can't thank you enough for you being you and taking the courage to say, get your butt over here, we're talking. And you said it so eloquently. There are a lot of levels of truth. And the system of things, as Son calls it, the abuse that is taking place to the beneficiaries. And my word, and even having watched a court case and seeing how the lawyers and the judges work together and literally manipulate people is offensive, high offensive, and I haven't been comfortable with a lot of the judicial system. I don't understand the legalese. I don't have the patience for that kind of crap. But I have the honor of being with our Chief Justice and Sun and listening to them talk every day and just going, it took me like almost a year to go, I get it. I'm getting it now. And having seen some judges and lawyers in actual operation and like, yuck, how do you do that? That which you do, lawyers and judges, how do you do that? Literally robbing from the people. We are the beneficiaries. We are the assets to this planet, and you are robbing us. How can you sleep at night doing that? Yeah. Well, it does. It does make sense. And why do we put up with tickets? Why do we put up with taxes? Well, it's all based on fear. Is why we do so much of what we do. It's fear. And, why do we even vote? And I saw on Facebook some gal here in Canada says, and I'd like to thank all of you people that didn't vote because Harper got in. Well, I don't know if you've ever heard of George Green down in the States. I actually got to meet him one day. Well, George Green is an interesting individual. He's telling his story about when he was asked to be the campaign manager to Jimmy Carter, campaign chairman for Jimmy Carter's candidacy to President of the United States. And his interview was with Ted Kennedy. And these are his words. You can go pick it up on YouTube and watch it. And he was talking about his interview, and it was in Colorado, and he had his daughter with him, and he was in this interview with Ted Kennedy. And one of the statements that was made was, George says, well, I'm not even affiliated with that party. And Ted Kennedy goes, doesn't matter. We control both of them. My word. It's on record, yeah. They control both of them. And people actually think they're voting somebody in. What a frickin' lie. And so George goes, well, can I have some time to think about that? And he goes, yeah. And about that moment, George's daughter went walking by, and Ted Kennedy saw his daughter there. And Ted says, my, what a wonderful looking woman. I'd love to go to bed with her. And George goes, I don't think so. She's my daughter, and she's only 14. And in George's words, he said, Ted Kennedy says, I don't care. And George says, in that moment, I made up my decision, but I was still going to give him 2 weeks. George had spent had access to money all over the States. When he phoned them up and said, no, I don't want anything to do with it, 2 days later, he couldn't borrow a dime anywhere. And so people, if you think you're actually voting for somebody, it's a crock of crap. It's already planned out before you, and you just get the illusionary fact that every time you make an X somewhere, you're actually doing something good. So you can have somebody re-represent you elsewhere. And you go to, there's a fellow in Australia that talks about that, and that's in one of our videos on our website. And he's talking about how you're being re-represented and you're not really being represented. We are to represent ourselves. And that's what you and I are doing today, Billy. You are representing yourself to me, and I am representing myself to you. And I am also representing what Sun does, because her and I have so much in common. As we talk, we find out we have so much in common, and we work together very well. And so it's very important for us to represent ourselves. Well, this is where we're stepping, why and where we need to step back into clan mother law. Step away from this political system and step back into clan mother law. Well, I don't vote anymore. I don't vote anymore. I haven't voted in, I don't know how many years now, because it just did not suit me. It didn't seem right. And for a long time, I couldn't put my finger on why, but there was that inner understanding going, don't vote anymore. You know, I've basically got myself out of the system as much as I can. I still have my driver's license. I still buy insurance because that's what they expect. And so to make my life easier, I do that because I enjoy that freedom of driving and getting around and being me. So I hang on to some of those aspects, but there's a lot of it that I do not participate in. And I am looking forward to clan mothers coming back. We are so wanting to see clan mothers step forward. And it's time for I'm still in the process of learning of it. But what is a clan? In your estimation, you being from Scotland, what's a clan? Okay, so we go to clan mother law. You talked about the chief. The chief was the spokesperson, usually the male. The clan mothers are the one in charge. So it's the women that are in charge. It's the women that are the decision makers. It's the men that are sent in to do the talking. And that's one aspect of clan mother law. Helen of Troy was a clan mother. And I don't have that information in front of me, but there are other clan mothers out there. Cleopatra was a clan. And so getting to understand our history is so important. And it takes a lot of work to get the history and weed out the untruths or the lies that have been set up as truths, and disregarding all of the aspects of what the lies have done to us, and getting back into those ways of where we are taking care of one another, and firstly taking care of ourselves. It's the concept of you have 2 glasses of water. I have 2 glasses of water. Let's put it that way. And one glass is full and one glass is just a quarter full. You come along and you're needing some help. So what do? I take the quarter glass and I share with you what I have, but I have to have some for myself because I have to sustain my own self. From the quarter glass, I haven't got much to share with you. I have even less left for me. And as a result, the scarcity is in place. But if I have a full glass of water, I can share with you at least a half a glass, and I still have a half a glass for me to take care of myself. So in that aspect of we are here to be self-full, we are here to be full of ourselves in the abundance of life. When I have the abundance, I can share with those that may, for whatever reason, be in scarcity at the moment. But if I have just a scarcity or the quarter glass, and I go to share, we're both robbed in that scarcity. So that's why it is so important to have that abundance. And this is part of what Clan Mother works at is if someone has a scarcity, we are there to help them. But we all have to have abundance to help in that time, those times of need when somebody is in that scarcity. And so being full of ourselves, we then can step in with our power and we can contribute to that healing aspect of what people need in that moment. And that's a part of what that Clan Mother law is. I'm not qualified to go into great depth about it, but that so far is my understanding, and that's what I'm sharing. If you want to go into greater depth, then you want Sun to get into her aspects of how she understands clan mother-in-law, and her being a mother, she comes from a whole different aspect of that clan mother-in-law, because she has carried 3 lives within herself. She has given birth to 3 lives. The women understand the life aspect so much deeper than the men do. And there are men out there that can grasp it, but the women hold it so much dearer. And listening to the women talk, and I've listened to a lot of women talk about carrying life and giving that life to individuals is, wow, what an experience. And having seen 4 of my children come into this world, 4 out of my 5 children come into this world, that has got to be the most profound experience to take on, to see life come into this world. And it's the women that do that. It is, wow, it is humbling and profound. And so women have that intuition. We men have an intuition, and we women have an intuition, but the women have the stronger intuition. And when men learn how to listen to that and honor it, and it's okay to question when it's done in a proper way, and to understand what's taking place, because Divine Mother, her ways are so different. And I have seen that continually, time and time and time again, in this community, how Divine Mother works. And it's just like, okay, I got to get rid of all of my old programming, because it doesn't work. Divine Mother's time is really something else to experience. I call it possibilities, because to learn, and because we live in the Divine Living Library, we are here to learn, and it's also in our learning, there are other universes and galaxies that are watching us and watching this Divine Living Library that we are in. So we all have the possibilities, and there are many possibilities. As I stated earlier in meeting Sun, I could have went, I am not talking to anybody by the name of Sun. And if I would have taken that particular route, my free choice, I wouldn't be talking to you now. I would still be in my existence. I do, but I did have a choice. Yeah, because I could have easily said, and I did say, Sun, what a strange name. And I did say, why would I want to talk to somebody with a name like that? I actually said that to myself. And then I actually said, no, I am going to talk to her. We all have those crossroads come up to us at time after time. We all have, am I going this way or am I going that way? And sometimes this way is the right way, but that way gives us a different view to get over to that way. And again, that's a free choice. We have those abilities to make those choices. And I could have, and here's the possibility. The possibilities are endless. We have to put that in perspective. The possibilities are endless. The possibility would have meant I would have had to use this huge detour to be back to where I am in this moment. I cut out the detour by saying I'm calling her. So some lines or detours that take us to where we end up at. The possibilities are endless, as are the universes. Exactly. And I've had people, I do readings, but I've had people go, can you tell me where I'm going to be in the future? And I go, I don't even go there. And they go, why? Number one, you haven't dealt with a lot of your past. Number two, you're not in the present. 3, you're so far out in the future you can't be in the present. And fourth, you walk out this door and instead of going right, you go left and change the thing that we said. Why do I want to put that energy into that? The readings that I do are about the individual in front of me understanding more of who they are. That's what it's about, is, you know, like I've told you, you're an intense person. And I see that in your eyes. Well, okay, let's clarify that a little more. You have this desire, intense desire, to understand who you are and to how to have a better life in this world. And I look at your nose, and your nose has got some, how do I want to put that? Your nose sticks out there a little ways because you want to know the facts. Because you've tried that other route and it didn't work. And so you want to know exactly what's going on so that you can make the right decisions for yourself, so that you can enjoy life the way life was meant to be enjoyed. And you have that intense desire to live that. The way how to what? Yeah, exactly. And beautifully put, shit from assholes. But that puts quite a mental picture there. That's what the trustees are literally doing on us. They're dumping, and we're tired of having the crap dumped on it. And it's no different than the old hotel when they had the outhouses. The people that could afford the second level had an outhouse on their level, and right below it was another outhouse. Which level do you want to be on? And that hotel is at Heritage Park here in Calgary. Yeah. So, and it's kind of a joke, but it's also fact. And trustees, you can no longer dump your crap on us. We will not put up with it. What do you think the Occupy movement's been about? People are fed up with it. People are fed up with the crap. You have an air of creativity. Pardon me? Say that. Say it again. I'll shut up for a moment. Again, that goes back to that being self-full, serving ourselves so that we can serve others. And this is one of the things that we're doing with the Bank of Ireland. Setting them up as the central bank of the world, so that everyone has access to their inheritance. Meaning that since 1937, when people were registered at birth, those numbers on the back of the birth certificate have been traded on the stock markets. And we are worth something. And that is, we are the assets. And so, trustees, it is now time for you to step over and give us back that which has always been ours. And we demand that from you, trustees. We're not taking you out of your job. We are showing you how to be a proper trustee. And in that aspect, one of the figures that we came up with from the trustees is that we're worth $7.9 million. So can you imagine what life would be like if you could do your desires and you had access always to $7.9 million? And that doesn't mean that you go sit on your butt by the ocean and do nothing. What that means is that you are to be responsible. And we break down the word responsible. You are responding to your abilities to create a better life. And that's what you've been doing. You've been responding to your abilities by putting the show together in the desire of creating a better life. I salute you for that, Billy. That is beautiful. Okay, now we're that word alone. We're going to take the word. I've got to finish up with the word try, because we are here to work, and in that aspect of working, we are in our power. Now, the last somebody says, "I will try and be there," what happened? When somebody said to you, "I'll try and be there," they don't make it. So immediately when we put try in that particular aspect, that means it might, maybe, possibly, could, never, ever happen. So when you tell me that you're trying, that tells me that there's some doubt there and you may not do it. Now, in your work that you do, you are bringing forth the energy that you're going to work at it. And some days it will be stronger than other days. And in your aspect of working, and this is where try steps into its power. I will try this solution. No, that didn't work. I will try this solution. No, that didn't work. I will try this. Part of that is working. I'll leave part of that there and put up the rest back. I'll try this, and that's added into that. And we try all these different solutions to bring the whole together. And in that trying, the only way we can make bring try into its powers when we are working diligently at bringing the solutions together. Does that make sense to you? And so from now on, when you're saying try like you just did, correct that and say, I will work diligently at my heart's desire as I connect with Divine Mother and help create a beautiful world for all of us to live in. Yes, trying the solutions and seeing how they work and working at the solutions and putting the puzzle together. You have so got it right on, Billy. And can you imagine what this world would be like if we all could step into that? At whatever level we wish to step in it at? Living in abundance. Go ahead. And we will. And also in that one statement you made about loving others. From my own personal experience, until I started stepping into the aspect of loving myself for who I am, I could not love others. I could not like others. And I couldn't, I always expected people I expected people to like me or love me, and they couldn't do it because I wasn't doing it for myself first. And when I started stepping into that realization and going, okay, I love myself, and looking in the mirror and going, good looking woman, man, you're a good looking woman. And I see that aspect in me now. And now that I see it, guess what? Others see it also. Wow. Oh, wow. And they couldn't do it until I did it for myself first. They couldn't do it until I did it for myself first. Holy shoot. Exactly. You know, and I had people ask me, well, how do you buy clothes? How do you go into the store? I go in like I own the place, honey. I go in like I own the place. I can walk into any women's clothing store and I'll walk in like I own the place. And people respect that kind of confidence. And we break down the word confidence. I confide in my own essence. That's what confidence is. I confide in my own essence, and I put my essence out there, not to hurt anyone, but to say, this is who I am, and I'm in here, and I respect myself, and in that respecting of myself, they automatically respect me. Because I respect myself, I automatically respect them, and in that mutual respect, beautiful aspects of life take place. It is. I hope. Is your head spinning now?
Well, to be honest, I'm just happy to have someone to talk to about these kind of ideas. So my head is used to spinning, but it's good to have somebody to bounce those crazy ideas back off, because not a lot of people out there kind of have the time due to work constraints and bringing up their family to kind of go into all this kind of stuff. So thanks very much for your chat. I've really enjoyed it.
You have been a total pleasure to talk with today, Billy. You have so much to offer the world, and I thank you so much for this interview. And I really would like to have a copy of this. I want to get this out also to all the people that have been listening to me. When will that take place? Any idea?
Well, my intention is to edit the video and send you the link tomorrow.
I would so appreciate that. And if you want to do this again another time, I would love to do that and just let it flow. You are an awesome host, and keep up the beautiful work that you do, and keep up with being a comedian, and keep up with your tangents, and keep on with the teaching, because we need more teachers out there. And thank you so much for what you do. From my heart, I thank you. And from Son's heart and from Divine Mother's heart, we thank you all for being the beautiful person that you are.
Well, thanks very much for being a great guest, Dennise, and I hope to talk to you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye. And don't forget, folks, if you want to read Dennise's writings, sunkettempletrust.com, and look for Two Spirits Sage Walker. You will also be able to find the manuscript that we referred to quite a lot there, and once you read that, if you play the interview again, it'll make a bit more sense. We kind of jumped in at the deep end a bit, but there's other places to find that information. So that's a good place to start, reading that manuscript and visiting the Sunkett Temple Trust website. So with that, apologies for that sound problem. That was a bit of a disaster. For whatever reason, my voice cut out for the second half of the interview, so I wasn't very pleased about that. I'll have to find a new way to do recordings. I'm thinking about doing a radio show. That could be the way to go. So, if you like this video, please share it with people, because I need to find a way to get out of my living room, and all help is appreciated. So, thanks very much for your time, folks, and feel free to leave a comment. Take care, bye-bye.